Hello and welcome back to the best part of your week. Welcome back to another episode of Love, Death and Movies podcast, Internet's number one film breakdown and review show, the show that crushes watch lists month after month. Every month or 2 months is a different genre. Every week inside those 2 months is a different film in that genre. So follow us in everything, join us on the road, watch some movies. I didn't rewrite that. I just kind of made that up on the spot and I think it's kind of obvious. Ash, you're with me every week. How are you? Ash vs. Movies, Ash.
I am with you every week except for the last couple of weeks because we haven't recorded in a minute. I'm good. It's been a whirlwind of last 3 weeks for me, but we'll get into it, I guess. But I'm generally good. I'm here.
Yeah, we haven't, this episode's going up late. It's only going up late a couple of days. We haven't recorded in a couple. Yeah, we haven't recorded in a couple of weeks just because we bulk recorded a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, that was you got really sick, and you every day you're like, hey, can we do it tomorrow? I'm like, dude, just get better, and then we'll figure it out. It's no biggie. And then we're gonna do it one day, and then I completely forget that my building next door is getting completely renovated. So during the day, it's just nothing but drill sounds. And there's only so much that a mic gate can eliminate. And they couldn't eliminate that. I'll tell you that right now. But no, we're here. It's fine. Ash, we're continuing on our, what do we call it? Our volume, Book of Spielberg, which is good fun. I'm loving this, by the way. I love Spielberg. That's what we're peek behind the curtain. We're recording this week and the next episode as well, side by side. He's just fun to watch, you know. He has an aura around him, and I'm really enjoying this. But this week we're talking about Empire of the Sun. So, quick synopsis: a young English boy struggles to survive under Japanese occupation of China during World War II. Before we get to that, Ash, how have you been? It's been 2 weeks. What have you been up to? Other than being deathly ill.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty good. I went on a trip to visit my family in Southern California, so I mean that was really nice. Did some fun stuff. My nephews are 3 and 1, so
Nice.
And they're feral children, so it's like Donnie from the Wild Thornberries, times 2.
Nice.
They're crazy. They're so much fun. It was exhausting. We did stuff every day outside, and yeah, I was definitely pretty beat by the time I came home, and then literally came home and pretty much got sick. First, my husband got sick, and then I got sick, and then I was sick for 8 days, leading up to going back to work. Bless you. Don't be catching anything now. But yeah, it was awful. I don't know if it was COVID, but it was definitely way worse than a normal sinus cold or anything like that. So glad it's behind me. I still probably sound a little bit different, but I definitely feel 100% better. Thank God. But yeah, other than that, just kind of been laying around the house, just trying to rest up and, do that type of stuff. Watched, I guess, some movies maybe besides the ones we're talking about. Finally watched Lost in Translation again for the first time since high school.
Good movie.
Yeah, really good movie. Adam had never seen it, so he really liked it as well. And then just been watching Parks and Rec and Always Sunny and Alien Earth and just.
I need to watch Alien Earth. I need to watch Andor. There's a lot to watch.
Catch up.
There's too much TV. There's too much because there's so much good shit as well. We need more bad shit so I can avoid that.
I like Alien Earth. I wouldn't say that I'm one of the oh my God, this is the greatest alien thing since Alien. It's not that good for me, but I still think it's worth watching. I think it's good.
Okay, maybe I do watch it then. Yeah, the last couple of weeks have been crazy. Work's nuts, which is good nuts. Oh, some of it's good nuts. I work in film advertising, people don't know, in Australia, and we're about to commence a huge execution for the new Mortal Kombat movie because it's filmed in Australia, so they kind of want to amp that up and include literally just doing so much content with Carl Urban. We had so much cool shit planned. It was supposed to be all approved on a Monday, and then on this previous day, Sunday, we found out the whole movie's delayed till May. So that's annoying, but it is what it is. It's business. But it works kind of crazy, which is cool. But just been watching the US Open, loving that. Not sure if you're a tennis person at all, Ash.
No
That's all right.
sports for me.
Damn, wow. Well, it's also finals time in AFL, which it's like the playoffs, and it's been just absolute screamers of games so far. Every single game's been amazing. Last night there was a game between Fremantle, who team in Perth, other side of the country, and Gold Coast. Have you heard of Gold Coast? And Gold Coast is like the tourist destination of Australia, other than Sydney and Melbourne. Gold Coast have been in the league for about 15-ish years now. Bit less than that, maybe 13 to 15 years, and they've never made the finals. They've just always been like bottom of the table. And they finally made finals, and they had a guy that's in the team called David Swallow, real name, who had been there since game one. So been there at the club for like 13 years, and this is his last year, and had never made it to finals. And he won it for them at the last minute, and it was like a fairy tale moment where it's so cool. Any AFL watcher that's listening to this is like, yeah, that was cool. I can guarantee you. Comment below this video and say, yeah, that was cool, just so I get validation, please. But other than that, it's been pretty good. But I've just been watching I rewatched the Ocean's trilogy.
Yeah, I saw that.
Those movies are fucking amazing. Yeah, there was one day when me and my friend were just playing like PlayStation together, and we just kept going quote for quote of the Ocean's trilogy. It's so good. Those movies are spectacular.
I've never seen any of them.
What? Dude, you were fucking...
I've seen parts of Ocean's 11 just from I feel like people around me watching it, but I've never sat down and watched them.
Ash, homework. You would actually really like them. You would... it's Steven Soderbergh, which it kind of feels like it's directed by Adam McKay. You'd love them. I think Ocean's 11 is like one of my all-time favorite movies as a whole. 12 is a bit of a dip, but 13 is awesome as well. Yeah, you'd love them. But let's get into Empire of the Sun, Ash. Budget of 25 mil, which back then was huge. Box office of 66.7 mil, which like that's not surprising. Like it's not really star driven, other than John Malkovich, and you can't really judge on anything else. But I think that's pretty good. But Ash, what do you think of Empire of the Sun? This is a first watch for both you and me.
I love when we have this happen because it doesn't happen very often.
I know.
I really like this movie. I did feel like it took a while to kind of get going. I don't know if it needed to be as long as it was.
Nope.
That was kind of one of my bigger, complaints. I think it maybe overstayed its welcome a little bit, and some scenes didn't feel like maybe they were as impactful as the intention behind them was. But I thought that Christian Bale was great. I mean, I think that it's clear that he was meant to be a very talented, diverse movie star. I think that for being like 13 years old when he made this, I mean, he mostly carried the movie on his back. Like, without him, I don't think it would have really had the magic and kind of the overall, like, feelings that you get watching it. I don't think it would have been there without him. So I think he was great. I think John Malkovich was great as well. I think some of the, side actors, there wasn't too many that had a lot to do in the movie, but I do think that, they were entertaining. Ben Stiller cameo was a little bit unexpected.
Yeah, that was a bit of like a jump scare.
Yeah. He looked a little rough. I was like, oh, what's he doing here?
Yeah, he's aged like a fine wine.
Yeah, he looks a lot better than he did then. But yeah, I mean, I think obviously, like, for me, having learned about World War II so much in school and, over the years, you tend to see it focused on, like, obviously, like, the German side, and I see a lot of it on, like, the U.S. and British side. You don't really see a lot of, like, anything to do with Japan or China or anything like that going on. So I thought it was interesting, to kind of see a bit of history from a different perspective. And I thought that they actually, like, painted a lot of the people with, like, a lot of humanity. It wasn't just, like, this evilness. So I thought it was powerful. I don't know if it was as powerful as other war movies I've seen, obviously. But I do think that his performance made it, for me, the most, like, enjoyable. And also the visuals, I thought, throughout, and the music were pretty good as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on all fronts. I think this whole movie's kind of driven by Christian, which is crazy that, like, at his age, you could tell how much talent he has. It's too long. It takes a bit too long to get going, as he said. But I do love these, like, little snippets in, like, the time that he was, like, by himself, where you just meet, like, he builds these, like, little communities wherever he goes, and it's all around him. And you can see how, like, how much of a good kid he is towards, like, how he's always, like, helping the elderly at some points or the other. But he's always just trying to, like, prove himself in a way, you know what I mean? Especially to John Malkovich's character, who's named... Can't remember his name. I'll find it.
Not Basie. It's...
Bessie, like... Okay,
I think it
okay.
might be Maisie or Basie or something. It's something weird like basil. No, it's not basil. It's Basie. I think that is correct.
I think you are right. Yeah, because after you said it, it just makes total sense.
It was a little surprising for me. I feel like I don't know about how you felt, but that his character went the way he did because when
Basically,
you
yeah.
imagine like a rich British kid living in a different country and like having grown up there, I expected him to be kind of like a little bit of a like ignorant and maybe just like be a bit of a brat. Mm-hmm. Especially when he talked to like the maid at the beginning and was like, "You do what I say" or something like that. I really thought he was going to
I feel like he
act
was at the
different.
beginning though, and then it
But
kind
he
of
was
like
humbled like in super quickly,
yeah,
like
he was,
very
yeah.
quickly. So
Yeah,
I thought
you're
that
right.
was a good choice for his character.
Because it would have gotten just insanely annoying to watch.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. I was like a movie that I'm glad is off my watch list now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, shall we get into it, Dash?
Yeah.
All right, Ash, let's go. The story opens up in 1941, just prior to the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor. Jamie Graham is a privileged boy living with his parents in Shanghai. His father is a rich British businessman, and the family lives in a mansion on the outskirts of the city. And Jamie attends an exclusive prep school. Ooh. Much has been done to shelter Jamie from the Chinese culture that surrounds him, and he's quite spoiled, treating the family servants with utmost disrespect, as you said. When he's just like, you actually have to do what I say. I hate that shit. Very interested in aviation, Jamie harbors an interest in one day joining the Japanese Air Force, a dream that his father finds disturbing. Not just his father. I think everyone watching this is like, you're pretty out of touch, kid. You're very out of touch. The family attends a costume ball thrown by one of the father's business associates, Mr. Maxton. While there, Jamie runs off with to fly his wooden glider. He finds the wrecked fuselage of a fighter plane near an abandoned airfield. While he plays with the controls, his glider slips out of sight and behind a mound. He scrambles up the mound and finds the encampment of Japanese soldiers. While he stares at them, his father and Maxton appear, call him down, and specifically telling Jamie not to run. As they walk away, the Japanese soldiers return to their camp. Jamie remarks that they, quote, seem to be waiting for something to happen. Maxton suggests that Graham takes his family to their apartment in the city and seek an exit from Shanghai, most likely by the sea. The family returns to their Shanghai apartment early the next morning. So early the next morning, Jamie spots a Japanese warship in the harbor. This is the part that I'm like, this kid's annoying, this part. Where he spots the Japanese warship in the harbor communicating with the land forces using flashing lights. So Jamie begins using his own flashlight from his room when an explosion throws him back from the window. The Japanese move into the city in full force. Jamie's family is able to make it to their limousine, but are unable to get very far due to the crowds of people filling the streets. They exit the limo and find themselves crushed and separated among the crowd. Jamie's mother manages to hold on to Jamie when separated from her husband, but Jamie lets go of her hand when he drops his toy plane. He sees his mother being helplessly pushed away as she bids him to return to their mansion. Shortly after, Jamie witnesses fighting between the Chinese residents and the Japanese army, seeing a man die in front of him for the first time. The resistance. The resistance fighters are quickly found and killed. So Jamie arrives home and finds his house empty. He sees a sign of a struggle in his parents' bedroom, perhaps indicating that his mother was taken from the house by force. He hears noises downstairs and finds the maid of the house with the other Chinese servants stealing furniture. When Jamie demands to know what they're doing, the servant, whom Jamie had treated badly over the years, calmly walks over and slaps him and leaves. Love that bit. So Ash, what do you think about the beginning of this film?
Yeah, I mean, even though the film's long, it's not like anything felt like it wasn't necessarily important. It just felt like it took a while, maybe.
Great. Yeah.
One scene I really, really love that I think is very impactful for the rest of the movie is when they're at the party and he's playing with that toy flying airplane thing is really fucking cool.
It
I
is.
don't know exactly what it's made out of, but really cool. But when he finds, the plane and then he ends up finding that bunker and just like the look on his face as he slowly like comes back to his dad, I think that is a really powerful moment in the film and kind of like the first time that he really understands how serious the nature of what is happening around them is. So that scene was really cool, I thought, and really well shot. And then, yeah, I mean, as far as like some kind of ridiculous moments, yeah, like him trying to communicate, like you said, was not great. But yeah, the getting ripped away from his mom was pretty intense. I feel like it's such like a classic thing with kids in movies that they like drop something they love,
Yeah.
and they have to go back for it. They're just so naive, like they don't understand that it's not that big of a deal.
It reminded me of Quiet Place. Like,
Yes.
completely different, but it's like same sort of circumstance where it's like it's the kid's accident that is the detriment of the whole film.
It kind of ignites everything that he ends up going. Like, imagine if he didn't do that. Maybe he wouldn't have been in that internment camp and wouldn't have been separated. So it's just like wild to think that that's all it takes is just a quick decision without thinking. But you don't do that when you're young. Like you don't think about stuff. But yeah, no, I thought that maid slapping him was pretty deserved.
Justified? Yeah, absolutely.
Sad what he's going through, but pretty deserved. But yeah, I mean, this movie just honestly surprised me at how intense it was. It's technically rated PG, which I know in the 80s PG is very different than PG now.
Mm-hmm.
But I was quite shocked at how graphic it was in certain areas, and just like seeing the signs of like the Japanese saying this is like Japanese property now. This home has been taken over. Just really intense stuff for a kid to be witnessing. So I thought it was all like momentum towards where we were going, but just took longer than I wanted it to get there, I guess.
Oh yeah. No. Agreed. Anyway, Jamie stays in the house for several months, indicated by the falling level of water in the swimming pool. I think that's a pretty cool indication. Eating whatever food he can. Remember he had all the really posh chocolates and candies? And like, I don't
They're
know.
full of liquor.
Yeah, I was about to say that, like, I've had a chocolate like that before. They're disgusting.
They're so gross.
Yeah, they're so rich and gross, and they're not enjoyable at all. Also, quick sidebar. This whole world obsession with pistachio-filled chocolate, have you seen this? Where it's like chocolate bars that are just filled with pistachio filling. And it's
nut bars really like at all. So
it's like put like the whole world in like a pistachio drought. Like it's
people are obsessed with pistachios in general, but that's crazy. I've not heard of that.
I'll send it to you after you'll see it. But like a normal chocolate bar in Australia is probably like $4, maybe $5, and they're selling this thing for like $20. It just didn't matter. A local supermarket. People are insane. Anyway, when his food and water runs out, he rides his bike back to Shanghai to find that the Japanese have long since cemented the control in the city. Jamie tries to surrender to a passing battalion, I love that, of marching soldiers, but they ignore him and his bike is stolen. A homeless Chinese boy notices Jamie, tries to call him over. Jamie refuses and runs through the street and back through the alleys, people ignoring his cries for help. The Chinese boy catches him and beats him, taking whatever Jamie has on him. Jamie manages to break free and runs into the street, nearly being hit by a truck. The truck driver, Frank, scares Jamie's tormentor off and tells Jamie to get and takes Jamie with him to an abandoned freighter where Frank's friend Bassie, played by John Malkovich, is cooking rice. Bassie deftly searches Jamie for anything of value, taking Jamie's aviator glasses and a British crown coin he found in the swimming pool. He also gives Jamie a new name, Jim, and coldly serves him Frank's share of the rice he made. The next day, Frank and Bassie. Yeah, I think so. That's what they say. The next day, Frank and Bassie set to try and sell Jim to anyone who needs a manual laborer, which is, dude, Bassie sucks. Like, in terms of this whole movie, like, he never is on Jim's side. He just always sees him as a value. Yeah. When they're unable to sell Jim, they decide to leave him in the streets as an orphan. Jim pleaded them to let him stay, offering them the pickings of the rich houses in his old neighborhood outside the city. The three travel to Jim's old house where the lights are on and music, Jim's mother's favorite tune, can be heard. However, the house has been seized by the Japanese, who march out immediately and capture all three. As Jim is held back, Bassie is severely beaten. Bassie and Jim find themselves in a holding center for foreign prisoners in Shanghai. They spend a significant amount of time there. Jim discovers that the other kids there will steal openly from him to survive, a tactic he also learns from Bassie. One day, when the Japanese come to select prisoners for a transport to an official camp, Basie is chosen, who boards the truck and ignores Jim's pleas to take him along. Again, he doesn't give a shit about Jim. Jim begs the driver to take him along and finds that the driver is unsure of the route of the camp. Jim assures the driver that he can guide them to the camp, which is near his parents' old country club. The truck driver throws the annoying Jim into the truck and they leave. So the truck arrives at So Chow Creek in internment camp, which is situated next to the air base construction site. So what do you think about this whole scene of like this whole aspect of Basie and the meeting of him and Jim?
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, I knew that John Malkovich was in it, and I was kind of like, when is he gonna pop up? Like, what's happening? Yeah, I mean, I think that he behaved as I expected him to behave, but it's still hard to watch. You know, it's like this he's a kid without his parents, and
Yeah.
he's just trying his best. He's trying to survive. So, I mean, it's not too, I guess, crazy to think that these like sailor kind of like American guys would just be like, how can we benefit from him? We don't care, but we don't know this kid. So it makes sense, but it was definitely sad for Jamie's perspective. That like scene where he's begging to come onto the truck and he's just like ignoring him as two other kids are sitting on his lap, like on the back of the truck. That was pretty brutal. And then him saying like, you know, like, I know how to get there, like, let me help, basically. Like, he's just like this entire movie just basically a survivor. He's just doing what he has to do, and he's not afraid like of these military men, which is crazy. He just is like willing to go up to him and like yell like, let me help, I know how to read the maps, and he doesn't know if he's going to get beaten senseless. He just does it. So I do think he's got that like fearless survivor personality, which is probably why the whole movie is like he's kind of like the beacon of hope. And he kind of continues to behave more and more and more like that and takes more risks, which is crazy for a kid to do. But I just think Christian Bale is just amazing in this movie. I don't think that it's like a film where I'm like, oh, I really want to watch it again. But like he is carrying it on his back. Like if he's not in a scene, I'm not really interested in what's happening.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. But let's get into the camp, which I thought was like, this scene's kind of like, I don't know, heartbreaking is the right word, but it's like demoralizing where they're getting on the truck and you're like, fuck yeah, they're getting out. And then they just turned into a labor camp.
Well, did you catch that it's 4 years later?
Yeah, that's fucking nuts.
Been living there for 4 years.
Oh, tough. As the prisoners get off the truck, they are ordered to carry white stones up to the spot where the runway is being laid. Jim breaks off from the group and sees a work area for Japanese Zero airplanes. As he touches one of them, a guard, Nagata, prepares to shoot him. A group of 3 Japanese pilots approach, and Jamie salutes them. Nagata lowers his rifle when the pilots return Jamie's salute. Crazy that he's about to kill a kid. Crazy. Is what it is.
Yeah. I think that actually that scene's really sweet, like how the pilots are kind of almost like honored that he's like so happy to see them and, you know, saluting them. Like he has a lot of respect for people that obviously do that role, and
yeah,
I think it's really sweet. He's like very innocent in those moments.
Yeah, very aviation obsessed. The story jumps ahead to the summer of 1995, near the end of the war. There we
45.
go. What did I say, 95?
You said 95?
My bad. I do have 45 here. That's a long war.
Yeah.
And he still looks good.
Yeah. Okay.
1945, thank you, Ash. Nearing the end of the war, Jim has etched out a considerably active life for himself, involving intricate trade network among the other British prisoners, and even Nagata himself, who has since been invested as the commanding officer of the camp. While dropping off Nagata's freshly polished boots, Jim slyly steals a bar of soap. Jim's last bar at the camp's infirmary, where he aids the camp doctor, Rawlins, in performing CPR on a dying patient. The woman moves her eyes slightly, seemingly looking at Jim, who now believes that he brought her back to life. Jim appears to lose control, frantically pumping the woman's chest until Rawlins is forced to throw Jim off the dead woman. Rawlins has been schooling Jim in Latin and classical poetry, but is unable to teach Jim to recognize when his efforts have gone too far. Jim leaves the hospital and goes to the American prisoner barracks, delivering the bar of soap to Basie. That's right? Basie. That's what we decided his name was, right? Yeah. Weird spelling. Basie shows Jim his latest project, which involves laying snares in the marsh next to his barracks, hoping to catch pheasants for their next Thanksgiving. Basie also makes a deal with Jim. If Jim lays the snares, Basie will let Jim move into the American dorm and take him if he finds a way to escape the camp. The night of the airbase is bombed by American pilots who drop a bomb very close to the prison camp. In retaliation, Nagata and a few of his officers begin breaking windows in the British and American barracks. When Nagata moves to the infirmary, Rawlins tries to stop him. The sergeant begins violently, mercilessly beating the doctor. Jim steps in, smashing 2 windows and begging Nagata in Japanese to cease his punishment, which he does. Rawlins, in gratitude for Jim's actions, gives Jim a pair of 2-toned golf shoes that belonged to a recently deceased patient. The next day, Jim steals away from the camp to the marsh near the American dorm, waiting for the tower guard to sit down and leave his golf spikes behind. He crawls into... I don't know why he brought the golf spikes. He crawls into the marsh to place Basie's snares. However, Basie has another motive for planting the traps. He's using Jim to test the marsh for mines, which is wild. Moments later, Nagata appears and yells at the guard to take up his post. Nagata finds Jim's shoes and wades into the marsh after him. He's just about to find Jim when when a Japanese boy from the airbase calls the sergeant over. The boy had lost his toy glider in the marsh and Nagata retrieves it for him. As the two walk away, the boy salutes Jim, who... big car outside my house, who'd seen him all along. Jim is given his own space in the American dorm, much to Frank's annoyance, who's given up his own personal space for the young upstart. One day, Basie and another American prisoner, Dainty, are going over potential escape plans using a cork and needle as a compass provided them by Jim and his filtering network. I love how everyone just knows Jim. He's the guy if you need anything. Nagata shows up unexpectedly and sees how comfortably Basie has been living. He also finds the bar of soap stolen by Jim and instantly furiously beats Basie. Basie leaves Jim in charge of his possessions, knowing he'll be sent to the infirmary. Jim visits him there after seeing through his binoculars that Basie's been given the mosquito net usually reserved for dying patients. Basie tells him that he merely bribed Dr. Rawlins for it. During their conversation, Basie suddenly asks Jim why isn't he back in his dorm minding all of Basie's things. So Jim says that the older and larger men immediately in the dorm took everything. Jim there being fairly helpless to stop them. Ashamed, Jim leaves the American dorm shortly after Basie returns from the hospital. Anything to kind of add here, Ash? This is kind of like life as Jim knows it. Life goes on even though he's in this camp for what seems like years. What seems like is years. But he's like built. This is the art aspect that I was talking about. How I like that it shows it shows him as a kid that he's able to build these communities around him. I feel like Jim's kind of like the one that's holding them all together. He's the connection between every single part of the camp, which I really like that sort of aspect.
He's fully the hope. He's the light at the end of the tunnel, I think.
He's the hope. That's good.
Why everybody's maybe we'll actually get out of here. Which is, I feel like children kind of can represent hope a lot of the time. And I think in this situation, it's very clear, through his actions that he is that person. But yeah, I liked getting to see what I didn't like getting to see what his life was like there. That sounds horrible. But I liked, getting to see how he made the most of the situation he was in.
Yeah.
And didn't let it discourage him in any sense of the word, even though it's he's withering away. He's too skinny. His hair's falling out. He's not living a good life, obviously.
No. He's just surviving.
Yeah. And I found it shocking that Basie was still kind of pulling this shit after all these years of living there with him. You would think that after so much time, he would sort of gain a bit more respect for the kid.
Yeah.
That was a bit surprising. But I guess when you're thinking about the scenario that all these people are in, it's a selfish situation. He's just looking out for himself at the end of the day. He's not looking out for Jamie. So it tracks, but it was definitely kind of shocking to witness. like how mad he got at him and how upset Jamie was when he realized like he didn't fulfill Baisie's wish of keeping all his stuff safe. Like he was so hard on himself.
Yeah.
Which was really heartbreaking. I love that scene when he comes back to the original base camp, or even called the bunker, and that blonde woman who's like dying the entire time kind of just like helps him set his stuff back up and doesn't say a word and like just kind of accepts him back in. I thought that was a really sweet scene. I think their relationship is really interesting, like as it kind of progresses to the next part of the movie too. But yeah, I mean, I think honestly, like the biggest standout scene in this whole chunk is the kid and him building this like unspoken bond. The Chinese kid that's also there, or maybe he's a Japanese kid. I'm sorry for not knowing.
The one that salutes him.
Yeah, the one.
He's a Japanese kid
that knows he's hiding in the mud and kind of like winks at him, and they kind of like
saved his fucking life. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an unspoken thing, and I think that's really cool because I think during World War II and during a lot of this stuff didn't matter which country you were from or what you were experiencing. Anybody who was in these scenarios, they relied on other people to help save them through these situations, and I like that they showed that, but it was done in a very like unspoken way. Show don't tell, as we always say. And yeah, I just thought it was cool because it was like two kids kind of helping each other out. And they're like teenagers, but still they're kids. So
that's a very good point. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. I love your points on Malkovich's character Basie. But like I wasn't really that surprised, but like we can't. I don't know how to word this. Like in these times, like you have to just care about yourself and no one else, sort of thing. You have to be like utterly selfish. It's just survival. Like they've been here for 4 years, and like at the same time, I agree with what you're saying. Of just like sure, like his whole character is one of manipulation, but then like there also has to be an aspect of like they've been living together for years. That like surely there becomes a little basis of respect towards it, which it's very interesting. But yeah, I love that whole camp saga. Because this just builds into this like really like nice, lovely community. But then you look at it from the outside, you're like, oh, this is kind of haunting. Of like where it is and why and stuff and how long it's been. They're living better
than where they came from. Like the prior place they were being kept. Like, and they're living a lot better than other people were during this time.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it's a great life. It's just they're making the most of the situation that they're in. I will say one thing that kind of bugged me, it's more of like a technical movie like choice maybe, or like maybe an oversight. The whole place is wrapped in like this fence that's sharp, but it has like these huge gaps between the sections of like the barbed wire.
I noticed that as well.
It was so easy for him to just like crawl under, and then like the main guard, when he comes to look, he just pops his head right underneath it. Like, it's nothing. So my thing was like, I mean, I guess they would catch people if they tried to leave. But I was like, why would they have it look like this is supposed to be like some sharp thing that if you touch it, you're going to like cut yourself?
That's true.
And we just watched like multiple people just go right over it. Like it was nothing. It just seemed a little bit like of an oversight maybe. I don't know. It bugged me. It was really stupid. But I just
maybe it's just like
you can't really have that little of enclosing,
No, I thought the same thing, and in my head I was like, maybe they're like banking on fear of like people won't leave because one, they got nowhere to go to, and two, like they're instantly hunted down.
Totally.
But I agree with you, the same thing. So. Like, just put up an extra couple layers.
It just didn't seem like enough for like the situation they were in, like to keep them there for 4 years. But like you said, there's nowhere to go. I mean, there's nothing around them, so.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's it. I thought the same thing when I was watching. I was like, you could easily escape this place, but maybe it was just me. So now essentially homeless, Jim awakes one morning after falling asleep on the grounds of the camp and sees a kamikaze ritual taking place at the airbase. Moved by the ceremony, he begins to sing a Welsh folk song from his childhood days when he was singing in the choir. As the planes take off, one suddenly explodes in midair. A squadron of American P-51 Mustang fighters have arrived and begin to destroy the airbase. Exhilarated, Jim climbs to the top of a bombed-out building to watch the battle and sees one of the American pilots waving at him. This scene is sick in terms of how it's shot back then as well. Like, This is one of those scenes where you're like, oh, watching this when it came out, you'd be like, oh, Spielberg's got this. Like, he's got something. He's got something cool. Jim begins to scream in joy. As the battle continues, Roland's, fearing for Jim's safety, yells for the boy to come down. Jim doesn't listen, and Roland climbs up after him, finally catching him as the battle winds down. He yells at Jim to return to reality, and Jim breaks down, saying he can't recall what his parents looked like. Roland's carried him down. Jim blankly reciting the poem that Roland's had been teaching him. The next day, the camp is evacuated by Nagata. The prisoners are told that there will be food waiting for them further inland, and the march is quickly started. As they leave, Jim sees the young Japanese boy he befriended through the camp wire, taking the ceremony drink of the kamikaze pilots. The boy jumped into his plane but cannot take off because the plane refuses to fire up. The group reaches Nanto Stadium, many miles away, where the Japanese spoils from Shanghai are stored. Among the order bills there, Jim finds his father's own old limousine. After being told that there's no food or water there, Jim stays behind with Mrs. Victor, a woman who'd acted as his guardian to Jim in Sochow. This is the woman that you mentioned. Jim tells her to act dead so that they can stay. However, Mrs. Victor actually dies. Sorry, I should have laughed there. As a devastated Jim sits with her body, he sees a gigantic flash of light to the east, one of the atomic bombs dropped by the United States on Japan. Jim believes it was Mrs. Victor's ascending soul. However, he hears a radio broadcast later that reports that the new weapon and the surrender of the Japanese Empire, ending the war. As the starving and weakened Jim staggers back to Sochow, he notices large canisters falling from the sky on parachutes. They are from the Red Cross and contain food and other supplies. Jim gathers what he can and returns to the prison camp. There he finds the young Japanese boy from the airbase who is angrily slashing at the marsh with his katana sword. Recognizing Jim, he stumbles away crying. Jim hears an engine revving and sees a car break through a wall of fire. In the car, Basie and a couple of the other men he joined up, who are looting for the relief canisters. The Japanese boy offers Jim a mango, and is about to cut the mango with his katana when he is shot by Basie's companions. As the men rush over, Jim flips into the marsh and leaps on him, punching him wildly. Basie pulls Jim off, who turns his attention to the Japanese boy. He tried to revive him using CPR, but the boy is clearly dead, and Basie again pulls Jim off. As he tries to soothe Jim, Jim pulls a crazed look in his eye. Jim's experiences during the war of stealing, death, and fear, and finally being pushed off him onto the path of adulthood. Basie decides to leave Jim behind, knowing the boy will survive. Jim stays in the camp a bit longer, riding a bike like he did in the childhood and laughing, lol. He's found by a US Army unit to whom he surrenders. Jim returns to Shanghai and is housed by an orphanage for child war prisoners. The kids are assembled by nuns for a group of parents who have returned to Shanghai following the war. Jim's parents are among them. They wade through the sea of children, not able to find Jim at first, but spot him after a few moments. Jim, scarred from his experience and still in shock, doesn't believe his own eyes as he recognizes his mother by her face and hair, and eventually collapses into her arms. That gives me goosebumps reading that again. That is Empire of the Sun. Ash, what do you think about this last bit, especially about the death of the poor Japanese boy? And what did you give the whole movie as a whole out of 5?
Yeah, that scene is brutal. I mean, the movie already had brutal moments, and then when that happened, I think I had my jaw just like, did they really just do that?
I was like, no, he was just trying to cut it. I was just trying to cut a mango.
That was like the moment I liked Jim the most, when he started punching the guy who did it. I think that moment especially like speaks volumes to, just kind of the animosity that builds between all of these like countries and cultures. Whenever something like this is going on, it's like the guy just made an assumption that because he saw a weapon and he saw the Japanese boy with Jamie, that he was trying to kill him.
Yeah.
And he didn't ask any questions. I just think that this movie did a really good job at painting a lot of like humanity, especially with the Japanese like military and guards and like people that were involved. And I think that was really cool, considering these are like British and Americans. Like these are people who, you know, are kind of on the complete other side and experiencing the, like, I don't know the right word to use, but like they're being put there by the, you know, Japanese military against their will. Like they should be furious at these people, but I do like that they painted like so much humanity within them throughout the film.
Yeah.
But yeah, that scene like broke me, and then ending with his parents and like reuniting, that was just obviously so heartbreaking, and all the kids that are just standing there waiting for adults to recognize them. You don't think that like 3 or 4 years is a lot, but to not see your family for that long when you're a kid,
It's like another half your life.
yeah, and you're so
Well, a
young. Like
quarter
I
of your
can
life.
imagine you'd kind of forget what they look like. Like you'd kind of forget their smells or their like, you know, voice or all these things. Like it's brutal.
Yeah.
But no, yeah, I think this movie looks really amazing, especially for 87. I know I watched like I think a remastered like 4K copy, but it looked great. I think, like I said before, Christian Bale just absolutely carries it. I mean, he's just phenomenal. It's a heartbreaking, awful time in history, awful story, but yet I found it to be so like sweet and heartwarming and hopeful throughout. And I'm really glad I watched it. Like I'm not gonna like say it's gonna be a favorite of mine ever, but I think it's really an essential watch. I think everybody should definitely see it. I gave it 3.5 stars. I think it's just like really solid. I think it's good. I do think that John Williams' score in this movie is super underrated. I think it's a really good score. I found the music to be really moving. Like when it was used in the scenes, it actually like felt like it meant something.
Yeah,
it wasn't
agreed.
just there, just to be there. But yeah, you can tell this has Spielberg on it, and I think it's just kind of one of those like classic war films that if you want something that's not focused on the actual military like war in the thick of it, you want something that's more like a different perspective. I think it's a really like unique film in that sense. I don't think anything else really gives this perspective on this war, and is it from the perspective of a child. So I think in that sense it kind of stands out, which is cool.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. Like, I think it overstays its welcome a little bit, but I think that Christian's amazing in it, which is insane because he's a kid, and it makes so much sense seeing his career now and going back and being like, oh no, you had the source back then as well. But it's the same as Spielberg's direction. Spielberg, like, just the shots he uses, there's a lot where it's just always like looking up to the character when they've done something at the end of a scene, and it's more just like it's all about accomplishment. And how he always pitches a scene that like at the end of every scene you should feel accomplished, which is absolutely there. Good point about John Williams' score. I think it's great in this. I think it's really subtle compared to his other big themes. But yeah, I think this movie is really good, and I'm really glad I watched it as well. So yeah, I gave it 3.5, I believe. I know I watched this a couple weeks ago. I'm pretty sure I gave it 3.5. Let me just double check. But I think that like it's one of those movies where I've finished watching, like, this is someone's favorite movie by far, and I'm totally okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But yeah, 3.5. Yeah. So Ash, next week we will be reviewing Close Encounters of a Third Kind. I just completely forgot the name for a second. Close Encounters of a Third Kind, which can't wait to talk about that. Definitely haven't watched it right now, and I'm about to record after this. But we're about to go, before we leave, we're about to go into our little game of the show, which we'll be doing a collaborative draft for Christian Bale films, because the man has a pretty wide filmography. Going to go through like the new rules that we're doing with the collab draft.
Sure. Do you want me to, or you want to do it?
Do you want to do it?
Sure.
You're better at explaining that.
So yeah, I mean, really the only like difference is, so we picked 10 films, and since we've never done an actor, we don't really do actor drafts often, but we've definitely never done a collaborative draft for an actor. We know from our friends over at the Movie Draft podcast that typically, you know, you kind of pick movies to kind of make it a little bit, make more sense, make sure everyone's seen them. So in this case, we are going to have pre-selected the 10 films so that we both have seen them and we can kind of have a better idea of where to place them, kind of knowing what's on the list. So the ones we're going to be picking from are going to be American Psycho, the Dark Knight trilogy as one, because it's just hard to separate that out. The Prestige, Big Short, Ford vs. Ferrari, The Machinist, The Fighter, Thor: Love and Thunder, because let's be honest, he's the best part of the movie, Empire of the Sun, and American Hustle. We feel like that gave kind of some variety with directors and also just age and performances from him. I guess my question to you before we start is, are we doing this based on how good the movie is or how good he is in the movie?
Surely the movie. Because, like, I refuse for anyone else to take number 10 spot. Then, wait, who are we doing back and forth in terms of numbers?
Well, yeah, usually with collab, we do like somebody has 10, 8, 6, 4, and 2, and then somebody would have 9, 7, 5, 3, and 1. And usually we each have a veto. So
Okay.
if we just really don't like something, then we can veto it.
Okay, cool. Let's do that. Do you want to do even or do you want to do odds? You can do odds. You can pick number one.
Can I do odds? Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, number 10, I'm definitely going to pick Thor: Love and Thunder. I'm so, like,
Cool. And I mean, if anyone's wondering why we put that on the list, it's just because there's a lot we haven't seen of his, and then also just to mix it up, and that's clearly the bottom. But I do think that he did not do anything wrong in that movie. There's a lot of potential for that character to be interesting. It was just a shitty movie.
and it's also, we're just having fun, guys. All right, so just
Yeah, it's not
just
that
just
deep.
fucking relax.
It's not that deep. Okay, so I have to pick 9. Okay. Well, I think this is probably a good spot for Empire of the Sun. I think it deserves to be
I
on the
agree.
list because I think that now that I've seen it, I think he's just killer in it. But yeah, I think there's a lot of better movies on this list.
Yep, agreed there. I'd put American Hustle here.
At 8,
Yep.
yeah, I think that's definitely.
I think
It's
we're gonna.
good. I
I think we're
wouldn't say
gonna.
it's,
I think we're gonna
amazing.
agree on this list, Ash.
I think we're gonna start to disagree more towards the top.
Okay.
Not like in a bad way. Not like, oh my god, I hate that movie, but just more like what we consider the top couple.
We each get one veto, right? So then, yeah.
Yeah, if you really, really hate it, then
Cool.
I think we have a different idea for number 1. So I'll be curious how that ends up. But
Interesting.
okay, for 7, I think for me, The Machinist. To me, it feels
Yeah,
way
okay, I'm
too
alright with that.
familiar to Fight Club. I think it's a good movie, and I know that he did a lot of like weird method acting for it, but I just don't think that it's top half.
I'm okay with that. Number 6, I know he got an Oscar for it, but The Fighter.
Yeah,
See, I think this is a good list so far.
I think so. I think that is very fair. Okay, now we're into the top 5. So then it's like top 5 is like these could all be 4.5 or 5 stars at this
Yeah.
point. So I think for me, I'm between 2. I think I'll go Ford versus Ferrari. I think it's really good. I think him and Matt Damon are both fantastic, but I think that performance-wise, like the other ones are standing out to me more.
Okay. I'm okay with that. I love Ford vs Ferrari though.
I still give it 4.5 stars. Like it's a great film.
Yeah, fair. All right. Oh, Ash, you might veto me on this one. This is where I'd put American Psycho.
No. Absolutely not.
Okay. All right.
Absolutely not. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
That's definitely top 3. Absolutely.
this is where I'd put The Prestige.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably what I would have done as well. And you're not going to like this because this is where I would put the Dark Knight trilogy, considering we're talking about 3 movies.
Nope.
Okay, then The Big Short.
Fuck you, Ash.
I love The Big Short, but there's just no way that it's better than American Psycho.
Okay, well then I'll put American Psycho there, and we can finish
Such
off
bullshit, because now
with
you
the
know I can't
DK
veto it. I
trilogy.
cannot believe you got the whole trilogy as number 1. You know that that's not the best thing he's ever done.
No, it's not. It's not. Because Big Short is.
You don't think he's better in American Psycho than The Big Short?
I think American Psycho is really good. Again, like as you said, 5 to 1 are all 4.5s. Like, I think Big Short's fucking amazing in it, and he's
Spend
so
the next
good
hour
in it.
arguing about why American Psycho is the best.
So from 10 to 1, we got Thor: Love and Thunder, Empire of the Sun, American Hustle, Machinist, The Fighter, Ford vs Ferrari, The Prestige, The Big Short, American Psycho, and the entire Dark Knight trilogy. I think that's a good list.
I think it is too. I mean, I'm happier that the American Psycho's at number 2 than at 4, so I don't regret my veto.
At 4?
Wait, I'm so confused though. I thought. Oh, but you. Wait, how did you end up with the number one pick? Did we get backwards at some point?
Because there was only one left. Because we only picked 10 movies.
Okay.
So I picked American Psycho at 2, and then there was only one
Oh,
left.
that's right. Okay, Okay, I'm like, wait, hold on. How did this happen?
Yeah.
I already forgot. I got so distracted when.
Well, maybe next time we
Psycho.
pick like 15 films so that it's like not cornered in on number one.
Yeah, I mean these are all good movies except for the 10th one. So I'm not I'm not mad at it
an
at
American
all.
Psycho,
I'm not as obsessed with the Dark Knight trilogy as a lot of people are. I obviously think the Dark Knight is great, but I think it's more for Heath than it is for Christian Bale for me. But yeah, I think American Psycho and The Big Short and The Prestige, honestly, are like 3 of his best performances for sure.
Absolutely. Nice.
All right.
Well, that is our episode on Empire of the Sun. Next week, please watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind as we continue on the Book of Spielberg, which will be good fun. But until next time, I'm Harry, it's Ash. Love death movies. See you at the movies.